my name is Dani. Welcome to the channel. As an entrepreneur, I'm going to share with you some of the actionable steps that you can take to stay motivated. The first step is creating incentives for yourself. You can do this by setting small or large goals. For example, one of my goals is to get 100,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and that's not something that's gonna happen in a day. So in order to stay motivated, I told myself that once I hit 100,000 subscribers, that I'll take myself on a little trip. And reminding myself of that incentive keeps me going and keeps me pushing, even on days where I don't feel like doing the work. But if you don't have a goal that's quite as big, that's okay. You can still set up smaller incentives, like if you work uninterrupted for an hour, that you'll give yourself a 15-minute social media break. Speaking of breaks, it is okay to take a step back from your work from time to time. Now, this might mean that you're gonna step back for 15 minutes, or this could mean that you're gonna step back and then wait a little bit longer, like wait a day, maybe even wait a week before you return to a specific project. The essential step here is to reschedule this in your calendar. It is so important that you set aside a specific time that you're going to return to this task, because a lot of times that's how you end up walking away from something that you've been working on, and then you don't return to it for weeks or even months, or maybe you never return to it at all. So when you do decide to take a much needed break, to step away from whatever you're working on and to honestly get a fresh perspective on it, sometimes that's a really important thing, then just make sure that you've rescheduled it in your calendar. Remembering your goals can reignite your motivation. I remember this vividly when I was competing in pageants. There were so many days where I had a long day, I was exhausted, and I just didn't feel like driving to the gym. Or sometimes I'd get to the gym and I wouldn't want to get out of my car. I wouldn't want to finish that workout. And it was so hard for me to find that motivation. But something that really kept me coming back to the gym and kept me consistent with my workouts was remembering why I was at the gym. I couldn't just focus on getting that workout done. That wasn't enough for me in the moment. Instead, I was focused on the bigger picture. And for me, that was experiencing that winning moment on stage. And I knew that if I wanted to have that experience where that crown was placed on top of my head, then part of that, one of the necessary steps that I had to take, was going to be going to the gym regularly so I could feel my best and feel my most confident when I was on stage. So when you're really struggling, forget about that task at hand and start focusing on the fact that that thing that you have to get done in that moment is just one step towards that bigger goal. And it's one step closer towards that bigger goal. When it comes to motivation, there is nothing quite like thinking about your competition. And this is something that has lit a fire within me multiple times. When you have a goal, it's quite often that there's going to be some sort of other competitor, somebody else that's in your niche or in your industry, and they have that same goal as you. And so during those times where I might not feel so inspired to do the work at hand, I like to ask myself, what are my competitors doing right now? Are they creating new pieces of content for their YouTube channels? Are they spending time investing in themselves? Are they reading a book that's going to give them the knowledge and the information that they need to outperform me? Whatever it is, it could be literally anything. But I really like to think and ask myself, what are my competitors doing right now? Are they making the best use of their time? And am I making the best use of my time? So when I visualize that competitor sitting right beside me and working on something and working towards a goal that I also want to achieve, that's something that really gets me going. This is something that can be really powerful, especially for entrepreneurs, because so many times you have to be self-motivated and you have to have that will and that determination to keep going, even when there's no accountability. So sometimes I like to go through this little mental exercise and imagine that I have a boss, that I'm working in a normal office setting, and that this boss is telling me I have a deadline and I have to meet that deadline. And of course, if you had a boss that told you you had to make a deadline, of course you're going to be working really hard towards that goal because you don't want to get fired, because you need a paycheck, or maybe because you need a promotion. So when things are really tough for me, I like to use this example of this imaginary boss setting a deadline for me and telling me that I have to meet this deadline. And that is exactly why I meet so many deadlines, is because I think, okay, if I were in a normal office and I wasn't self-employed, I would probably have a boss telling me that I need to get stuff done. So I like to use that imaginary boss as a good mindset shift. Now, I'm not saying to take the 3-hour naps that I most enjoy, but one thing that I've realized is that when I am really exhausted and I've reached this physical breaking point, I'm not going to be doing my best work. So in order for me to be my best, I need to be refreshed and I need to be refocused. So I'm somebody who likes to get their work done sitting on the couch. That's my happy place. And when I am feeling really, really tired and I'm nodding off and I'm really drowsy and I can't focus, or I've read the same sentence 30 times, I go, okay, I have reached a point where I do need a little bit of a break. So I will throw in some earplugs, set a 30-minute timer on my phone, take a nap, wake up, and then I'm refocused and ready to go again. I think it's a much better use of your time to stop, take that 30-minute break, that 30-minute nap that you might need, and so that you could really, really be re-energized, because if not, you could potentially sit there trying to accomplish one task for hours and hours, but not even get it done because you're not at your physical best. So sometimes it's really important to listen to your body and take a cue from the signals that it's sending. This is one of my favorite motivators. Now, I don't want to say that food motivation is the best thing. And if you do eat a snack, obviously I'm going to encourage you to eat a healthy snack. But I'm somebody who really, really enjoys snacking. So for me, this is another type of reward that I place in front of myself for doing X amount of work or for completing a specific task. So this is something that you can do if you are a food motivated person. This isn't what I would suggest to do all the time, or else obviously this could take an effect on your physical health. But every now and then, motivating myself with a snack is something that is really effective. Give yourself some screen time. I know this might sound a little bit strange, but there's a really big difference between sitting at your computer and working, or sitting on your phone and working, and then being on your phone for some mind-numbing entertainment. For you, this could mean a number of different things. Maybe you're someone who wants to catch up on the latest Netflix show. If that's a great reward for you, then you can set it. You can tell yourself, I'm gonna do 1 hour of uninterrupted, concentrated work, and then my reward, my incentive is 15 minutes of watching my favorite show. I'm personally somebody who really enjoys to read, and it's hard for me to make time for that. So I make sure that I use reading as this reward for the hard work that I've done. And this is something that's really proven to be effective for me. I also personally love self-help books and books about business. So it's a nice reward for me, but also it has extra benefits because I'm going to be constantly learning. But for you, this might mean even a social media break, responding to your friends, or even engaging with your friends, or a quick text chat or a conversation with a friend that you want to talk about. These are all things that can be really, really big motivators throughout your workday. This one I know can be really tough because so many of us have issues getting up to do a workout as it is. You might need your own motivation just to do that, but the act of physical activity for me is so refreshing. During your workday, it's probably not going to be possible for you to get a full workout in between your tasks, and that's okay. But getting up, moving around, whether that means moving around your house, moving around your office space, taking your dog for a walk, any of those things can really, really help with stress management, but also they're gonna help you with creativity. They're gonna allow you to step away from your work for a moment and get a fresh perspective on it when you come back. But that movement for me, it really helps me when I'm feeling physically tired, because if I'm tired, I wanna keep sitting down, and it's that whole thing of what they say, bodies in motion tend to stay in motion. It's kind of that idea. So if you're going to be sitting and if you're going to be really stagnant all the time, you're probably going to keep leaning into that behavior. But if you get yourself up and you get moving, you're going to feel re-energized. The last important thing here is a two-step process, and this is setting specific goals and making sure that they are SMART goals. If you're not familiar with SMART goals, I'm going to give you a quick breakdown because different people define this in different ways. But basically, they are specific, measurable, actionable or achievable, reasonable, and timely. SMART goals are one of the things that really keep me motivated, mainly because they are something that you can use to actually track progress. And when you track your progress, you're seeing these milestones that you're hitting or benchmarks. And these are going to be those little things that you're like, yeah, I feel great about this. The work that I've been doing has been paying off. I've actually accomplished something. This is going to prove to you that the work that you are doing is not for nothing. And the other part of this, though, is really writing down these goals. That is such an important step. You should be writing down your long-term goals, whether that's your goal for the next year, as well as your short-term goals. I like to start with the long-term or the bigger goals first and then work my way backwards and ask myself, what are the steps that I need to take in order to accomplish that goal? And the bigger the goal is, usually the longer it's going to take you to achieve, which is why it's so important that you create a roadmap for yourself so that from day to day, you're actually able to accomplish things that are moving you closer to your bigger goal. And I will say that there is something really satisfying too about putting a goal in your calendar or writing it down in a notebook. And then when you're able to accomplish that goal, being able to cross it off your list, circle it, underline it, whatever you want to do, put a star by it when you accomplish that goal. There's just something so satisfying about that. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're somebody that just has a goal in life and you want more tips on staying motivated and more tips about success, then you can check out these episodes next. This is where I would send you for lots of more tips. And of course, if you like episodes like this, then don't forget to subscribe before you exit this video.